Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Hayden Newberry Fishing. If you're new to it, I'm Hayden Newberry. I'm a travel nurse. I travel around the country bass fishing big bass tournaments and stuff. And most recently this year I fished the Bassmaster Opens, but I also do this YouTube channel. And tonight I got a little bit, I guess, different of a topic to talk about. I was thinking about this early this morning and figured I'd make a video about it, but just some things that have happened recently, some things that I've heard and everything, got my mind kind of rolling in this direction and thinking back, and just some stuff that have changed in tournament bass fishing over really maybe the past 10 years, maybe probably less time than that, maybe 5 years. But I guess to lead you guys into what even got my mind thinking this way and what got me, just what put this in my mind, was the Milliken Fishing channel. If you have ever seen his videos or anything, there was a lot of big swim baits, things like that. I saw a video the other day that he announced that he's going to be fishing the Bassmaster Opens next year. So he's what I would call a specialist. He seems to specialize in throwing big baits, throwing big glide baits, things like that. He seems like he fishes it kind of differently than a lot of people, just so he can fish it more. So I got to thinking about how he would do in the opens, and I really think that he's a great fisherman, judging by what I've seen. Probably a lot more versatile than what he even shows on his channel, but I don't think that a person like that is ever going to qualify in the opens anymore. So what that led me into was thinking back to years back, just how the Elite Series used to be something that they say a specialist couldn't win it. Or not a specialist couldn't win it. Only a specialist could win it. So, and you think back to the Elite Series before, you have Kevin Van Dam that was the crankbait specialist. You've got Chris Zaldain, he's the big swim bait specialist. He's still there. You got Andy Montgomery, the dock specialist. So those guys all qualified before this last big change, I feel like, happened, where it's turned into something that the very, very versatile anglers seem to, like, almost the jack of all trade anglers, but they're almost specialists of every single aspect of the fishing game, have kind of rose to the top. And especially the way the Bassmaster Opens are formulated next year, with you having to fish all 9, I don't feel like a specialist can qualify. Somebody who literally just specializes in something, and what I mean almost is that they don't hardly look at anything else. They're like Dean Rojas or something, the frog specialist. You can't go out and just be a frog fisherman in 9 Bassmaster Opens and make it, which I'm not saying any of these guys don't do other things, but it feels like kind of the end of the specialist era, I guess. So what I'm getting to is that years back, those people, and I can think of almost a tournament where I feel like it really started in that direction. Like the first tournament where it was a big deal that it wasn't a specialist. So I can't remember what year it was, but I think it was the first year that Wesley Strader came to the Elite Series on Kentucky Lake. I don't know what year that was for sure, but they were on Kentucky Lake, and you had this Skeet Reese, the swim bait specialist, that was in top and everything, and Wesley Strader comes from behind on the last day and beats him, and it kind of made a big deal about it, which it was that he's not a specialist. He was junk fishing, which junk fishing is a kind of something that some people specialize in, but that's not the typical specialist that you hear about. That I feel like it almost used to be cool to think about maybe being a pro that specialized in some cool thing like that, like throwing big swim baits or anything. You always, like, when you fantasized about being a pro one day, you wanted to be like the cool specialist. You didn't want to be like the Ned Rig specialist or something like that. You always wanted to be like a Kevin Van Dam that was the power fishing specialist, things like that. So I feel like that was kind of where it started, and slowly it's almost maybe the competition has gotten tougher. I guess I like to hear, I guess, from some people in the comments of what they think has caused the big change, because I feel like somehow in that time period the whole specialist thing kind of fizzled out, which you still have some of the guys lingering around, like I'm talking about, like the Chris Zaldanes and everything, that have been there and are still there, that are these just great specialists of certain cool things. But it's definitely just kind of died down to where you have just a bunch of guys that are just really good at everything. And I almost think it's the competition of it that it's slowly eked in farther and farther as a sport's grown, that the Elite Series has turned into more of uh, a pro circuit of people that are well rounded. And I think that is partially because you just have to be well rounded to get there anymore. You can't go out and in the opens, especially starting next year, being a specialist is gonna kill you if you have a thing that you're just really really good at. You're gonna need to be really really good at literally everything to make it through the opens after it switches to all nine. So I almost feel like that, especially that, if it hasn't kind of killed it already, will be the end of if things all switch in that direction. I feel like that will just be like the end of the whole specialist era in bass fishing. It's gonna start slowly turning into everybody is just good at everything. I feel like most of the time, excuse me, most of the time that guys are good at everything, you have sight fishermen, so you'll still have those sight fishermen specialists in there, because a lot of shallow water guys seem to make it through the opens really well. The formats where angler of the years and everything like that, it seems like shallow water guys that seem to be able to catch them shallow all year long and stuff, really good, do really well in that sort of thing. So maybe the only specialist that'll make it after a certain period of time is the shallow water specialist, and especially maybe after live scope gets outlawed, if that ever happens, which probably not going to. But then it'll just be live scope specialists and shallow water specialists. But thanks for watching the video, guys. I think tomorrow I should have another video made of some stuff that happened back in some of the opens this year that I thought was going to be kind of interesting for everybody. But anyway, see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.